there were a lot of redundancies, and that just the moment was, it was a life-changing moment to really realize that you can't save your way to wealth or a better financial future.
This is Property Investory, where we talk to successful property investors, find out more about their stories, mindset and strategy. I'm Taran Shum, and in this episode I'm speaking with Sana and Mona Ali, the founders of Property Twins, whose financial expertise led them to new successful careers in property. Find out about their exciting journey and much more in this episode. Also, before we delve into this episode, go over to propertyinvestory.com and subscribe to receive your free property investor case studies, where you'll learn how to generate passive income from your properties. Go there now to sign up for free. Sana and Mona are the co-founders of a mortgage broking company called Property Twins. Both left the corporate world to start their business earlier this year. However, their business hasn't been the first time that they've worked together.
We were working both in finance, actually. I was in finance the whole time, being an accountant. But Sana's...
I have an IT background, so I worked for about 7 years in their IT division before moving into finance. So yeah, we were literally on the same floor.
Working amongst the comforts of home, Sana and Mona's flexible hours allows them to work to their own schedule.
Well, what do? We work for ourselves, so that makes things a lot more flexible. So after waking up, we just come to our desk. We tend to skip our breakfast most of the time. So we just arrive at our desk in the morning and start looking at what's on for the day, what are the priorities, what needs to get done, and work through it. Typically, in the evening, our meetings are often in the evenings, and we work late into the night. Our marketing work mostly happens after 9 o'clock, and we just divide our day into what the priorities are, what client works, loan submissions,
and then client meetings in the evening, and then the marketing side of things later on, or any other Facebook side of things that we need to look into.
Growing up, their studies gave them the skills they would use in the property investing.
We were born in Pakistan. We were 15 when we came to Australia, and most of our schooling was done in Karachi. We came in year 2000 to Australia, and most of our teenage years, part of our teenage years were in Australia. We were in year 9 when we arrived here. We went to school in Wali Park Girls High, and then we went on to do university. For myself, Sana, I went to University of Technology, Sydney, and did IT at UTS.
My background is in accounting. I went to University of Sydney and did Bachelor's of Commerce, and then I went on to do my Chartered Accounting diploma and worked at PwC for a number of years, and then I went on to work for Macquarie Bank for a couple of years before we left.
Working through university, Sana and Mona were already gaining an advantage in their chosen fields.
We did work throughout university. So I found a couple of roles in 2 accounting firms. I tried some auditing. I didn't quite enjoy it. And then I went and worked for a small accounting firm in the city. It was more admin-based work, just so that I could get some experience in the accounting industry and to support my graduate roles or applications.
Yeah, and for myself, Tara, whilst doing the IT degree, I worked for IBM Australia on a scholarship for 12 months. So it was basically just making the resume strong. So when we do come to applying for the graduate roles, we are able to put ourselves ahead of the line, really.
When they began their property career, their mother has been both a source of inspiration and support in expanding their portfolio.
Yeah, my mum was in property back in Pakistan, had an interest in property, so that did inspire us.
It's been the encouragement side of things and just the knack for property and the encouragement that came from my mother. It wasn't like so much that, she was into real estate back in Pakistan. It was more around just the ability to pick up on good quality investments and be that sounding board for us whilst, we've evolved our own strategy over time. But, the input is invaluable.
Sana and Mona's movement into property was inspired by their goal to own their own homes, as well as the security of their careers around the instability of the GFC.
I had been at PwC for about 2.5 years or so. It hadn't quite crossed my mind at that stage that we should go buy our own home. But, there were people that we knew of, our peers and colleagues who had already purchased their first homes at the time. So it did click, on one of our brother's birthdays. We were having his birthday party, and he did say if he was working full time, then he would have just gone and bought his first home already. So that's what triggered it at that point in time. And we felt we needed that security, and it just made sense to us to start that journey.
Yeah, and from me, Taran, apart from, that conversation with our brother and, the belief that we could change our life, for me personally, the trigger was actually in the banking industry around the GFC. There were a lot of redundancies, and that just the moment was, it was a life-changing moment to really realize that you can't save your way to wealth or a better financial future.
Coming up after the break, we'll follow their journey from the start of their investing career.
So we found property as a vehicle to get us to that stage where we could get into our home eventually.
To the lessons they learned along the way.
It did cost us our 0.25% deposit, and I think that would have been probably one of the worst decisions we could have made.
And that's next. I'm Taran Shum, and you're listening to Property Investory. Hey podcast listeners, are you enjoying listening to these stories and want more? Then head over to propertyinvestory.com and subscribe to receive your free property case studies that I only send exclusively via email. Just one of the many benefits of being part of this community. These real case studies are from experienced property investors where they share specific numbers of their portfolio, their strategies, and much more. Simply visit propertyinvestory.com to get your free case studies. Now back to the show. Sana and Mona indirectly began their investing career as a result of meeting their goals of home ownership.
We bought our homes first homes. We did not go into investing straight up. So the key thing was buying where we wanted to live, really, in the Parramatta region. So we went researching within our suburb, and then we opened up to other surrounding suburbs and found some really good value there. So made a decision to buy close to transport because we used to travel to the city for work. We wanted train nearby shops, and overall, it was a pretty good decision because we've realized now as our strategies evolved that we do like being close to train or transport and shops. No matter where we buy, what city we buy in, there has to be fundamentals.
Their goals of financial security and owning their home have always been key motivations in their investing careers, especially in choosing property as the vehicle of success.
When we came to Australia, we didn't have enough resources and life was quite challenging. So we saw other people living really good lives, and we really wanted Australia to be home and have our roots here and have a good life. And the eventual goal was to have a home in Sydney. And as you know, Sydney is quite expensive, or has not been known to be expensive. So we found property as a vehicle to get us to that stage where we could get into our home eventually. The why is obviously to help a lot of people and, just show people that you can have personal challenges and still build a really good life and overcome personal challenges. And that's my driver.
Well, for me, property was more about financial security and having that base, having a place to call home, which we have achieved now. But I still feel we have only scratched the surface. But I can say that, if you are willing to make sacrifices, if you are willing to look beyond the limitations that you may be faced with, then, there is a better life possible. And we have made it happen for ourselves, so I'm sure other people can do too.
Although they encountered challenges in their investing career, Sana and Mona were able to work through and gain valuable insight into property.
So off-the-plan properties is what we considered originally, and thank God the bank did not value those properties. We couldn't complete those deals. Fortunately, we were able to pull out within the cooling off period, and it did cost us our 0.25% deposit. And I think that would have been probably one of the worst decisions we could have made. The new properties did look shiny and attractive, but I'm really glad it did not happen.
The experience has proven to be rewarding in altering their investing strategy to be more sustainable.
Well, as a new home buyer or an investor, you do feel you don't know what you don't know, and you don't have the background in property investing. So we just had to, we pretty much went to open homes. The idea was to buy our first home, and at that stage there was a $24,000 grant available for first home buyers, and if the properties were brand new and stamp duty exemption, so it was quite attractive. And the depreciation side of things, because if in future if we ever decided to make it an investment property, then we would get the benefit.
Yeah, but fortunately it did not happen. You would find that these properties attract premium pricing, and what that means, people are often years behind with their goals when they do get into these. So I'm glad it did not come through.
Their most successful moment resulted in realizing their ability to succeed in investing.
I would say just, meeting like-minded investors and finding people who had actually been there and done that and built successful portfolios, and the realization that anyone can really invest in property if they put their mind to it.
Sana and Mona's inspiration came from connecting to other investors and learning from their successes.
Just finding the Summersoft Property Forum, really.
And reading about other people's stories and what they had achieved over a number of years. So there was a lot of inspiration that we gained from those who had previously invested and had been successful. So we invested a lot of time educating ourselves. So when we would come home from work, we would read up on the forums literally every day and go to open homes on weekends. So there was a lot of time that went into our self-development on the property front. So that's what really helped us.
Although this inspiration has already resulted in major success for them, they are still setting goals and continuing to expand their portfolio.
So the portfolio is just over 5 mil, or around 5 mil. And future plans, yes, we do intend to buy a lot in Sydney. As you know, the market is turning, or supposed to be turning now. So in the next couple of years, we are hoping to go on a buying spree between Parramatta and Penrith.
So, inspired by this story and what Sana and Mona Ali are excited about today, we'll keep the conversation going in a future episode on Property Investory Podcast, where we'll talk about how to use trends in property to your advantage.
You can capitalize from one region, move on to the next, and follow the property cycle across Australia.
The importance of self-motivation.
We had to get out of our own way to achieve something, and the reinforcement of why we were doing it. Because if your why is big enough, the how is easy, and keep focus on your end goal.
And that's next on a future episode of Property Investory Podcast. Also, if you haven't subscribed to receive your free property case studies that I only send out exclusively via email, you can text me your email address to 04 99 88 10 40 to subscribe. These real case studies are from experienced property investors where they share specific numbers of their portfolio, the strategies, and much more. Simply text me your email address to 04 99 88 10 40 to get your free case studies. Thanks for listening.